What's up, guys? So, something I didn't realize was that I never put out a video on the fact that I blew my motor up. I'm going to go over everything real quick on what happened, just to give you guys an update and what's going to be going on next with this car. I gotta poop. So I'm accompanied by my shop manager, if you couldn't see. So if you watch the video right before this one, or the 3 previous videos before this one, I had the tune finished up and I was ripping around on this thing. I took my boss for a ride in it, I took my best friend for a ride in it, my other best friend for a fucking ride in it. It was running great. I was having zero issues out of it, but then I took one of my friends on a ride, which would be the latest video, and that's the video of the motor started knocking in. I don't know if it was due to the tune or due to the way we were tuning it, because whenever I was tuning it, I was going through and updating a bunch of issues during the phase of tuning the car. It was over boosting, hitting about 18 to 21 pounds of boost. Thought it was the wastegate actuator, tried to fix it, got a new actuator. It ended up not being the actuator at all. It was the fact that my wastegate, my downpipes were blocking my wastegate from opening. And there was a slew of other issues before that whenever we were tuning. And there was a couple of ways we tried to fix it before I actually figured out what the real problem was. So I think that had a lot to do with it. So I don't really think it was the tuner's fault by any means, but I think I'm going to find somebody else who has a little more experience. Well, I don't even know what his experience with SRs is, but I'm going to try and find somebody else. They have a guy who's pretty local who has a dyno, so I may be able to just throw this thing on the dyno and see what it can do there. Yeah, I put 39 miles on the drivetrain before it started knocking. So that's probably part of the issue too, is I didn't do a whole lot of break-in on it. I didn't know if it was going to be something at the top end that was causing it to knock, or the bottom end, or what. Ended up tearing everything down. The heads were fine, which is stock heads, but it's bored over. I don't remember the exact spec. Forged rods and pistons. I forget what rings it's got in it. It had King's main race bearings. A few other little things, but it ended up being a bearing failure. I think it was cylinder number 3 was the one that was real loose. I have...
Yeah, the one that he's won.
Oh, yeah.
He's won. Yeah, that's the one he's. What time are you going to the 4th of July? What time is it start?
So that ended up being the issue. So I got a new crank, I've got new bearings in. The rods weren't really scored at all. It was literally just the crank and the inside of the bearing. And also I wasn't building a lot of oil pressure. That's one weird thing about it, is I'd slowly drop oil pressure, so I don't think my bearings were in spec to begin with. The guy who's going to help me rebuild everything, he's waiting on a few new tools, because he's put together bottom ends before, but with other people and other people's equipment. So he's got to get some of his own stuff in order for us to slap together this bottom end. Once he does that, the only thing I have left to get is a high volume oil pump. I want to be able to make sure that it wasn't the oil pump causing the issue, because even just warm idle, not even running the car or whatever, just slowly, like cold idle, start up, we'd have about, I don't know, 50 pounds, 60 pounds of pressure, oil pressure. As soon as the car warmed up, it would drop down to the 20s. And then after that, it would drop down, into the 10s, 15s range. And then eventually it would drop all the way down and bounce from 0 to 7. At first, I thought it was my gauge or my sensor, but I'm running AEM stuff, so it shouldn't be the gauge or the sensor, especially if the sensor and the gauge is reading at 60 pounds whenever it's cold. So I really do think it was something to do with the bearings there, and I think that's what caused my whole issue overall in the first place. Now that the motor's out, it will be a while, probably before spring or so, before this car's finished now. If that, because I've got another project, which you guys will see soon on the way. It's not a car, it's a truck, but we'll get there whenever we get there. The plan now is to really just take my time with this car, make it super clean. I'm probably going to end up ditching the S15 front and go with a full S13 kit. Get the fenders, the bumper, the headlights, the hood, But the hardest part about it is finding stuff for cheap aftermarket. And then on top of that, Marketplace has gone to shit in a handbag, so I can't really, it's hard for me to sell my own shit. Like, I've got an S15 front for sale for $2,000. That's cheap for one of those. Like, people pay $2,000 for the fucking headlights alone. Not quite, but just about. So it's just one of those deals, you know. And I've got a bunch of other random S chassis bullshit for sale and some truck parts for sale, and you just get no bites. I've got my Benz for sale and my truck for sale right now, and get no bites. It's just, if you do get a bite, it's a fucking bot. Like, nobody wants to buy shit right now because of the rate of inflation and everything else. So it's just one of those deals, and I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna take my time with this car, make the body hella clean, and make the interior as nice as I possibly can. I'm gonna go for as factory as possible in here, besides obviously my bucket seat. And I'm probably gonna I gotta get a new harness bar because that one's for a 350Z. It has the same width, but the geometry of it's different, so it doesn't work properly. And a few other things. I'm gonna upgrade some of the parts that I plan on upgrading in the future anyways. Just, I was gonna run what I had for now because I had the motor running and everything else. And that was my main goal, was to get the motor running and see what I was working with. Now that the motor doesn't run, and I mean, it's not like I have to spend a ton of money to get it back running again anyway, but I just want to do everything right this time. I'm probably going to end up getting a CD5 or a CD7 AM digital dash, digital display, so if anybody has one of those for sale, let me know. Cheap. Also, if you want to buy some parts, go over and check it out on Facebook. I got the S15 front end for sale. I've got a truck for sale. I've got flip up parts for sale. I've got the motor for sale if anybody wants to buy it, because if somebody does buy it, I've got some plans for another swap that I'd do. I'd probably honestly just swap to a LS, but I like to go JZ, but it's just expensive getting into JZ shit and RB shit. Shit, I was told the other day that RBs are cheaper than fucking JZs, but they're fucking not. They're not at all. I was stressed the fuck out after my motor blew up, and I just needed to figure out some ways to make some more money, because I don't make any money off this. I'm doing this for me, for you, and for me. You know, I kind of freaked the fuck out, and I was like, you know, I'm not gonna sit here and just, I needed the time. It's not that I didn't want to make YouTube videos, just I needed the time for other shit. But that's what made me realize that I didn't put a video up explaining what happened to the car and why my motor blew up, why you guys haven't seen it in a while, why you haven't seen my pretty face in a while. But yeah, guys, that's it for today's video. I do hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys want to see me ripping this car around, make sure to go check out some of the previous videos, because they're pretty good videos. I had a blast fucking making them. What's up with you? Alright guys, like I said, that's going to be it for today's video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Check out the TikTok, check out the shorts. I hope you guys did enjoy. I'll see you guys on the next one.